The H12 Prep Baseball Report.
Welcome to the H12 Prep Baseball Report. I'm Ramon Scott, and I'm joined by EastCountySports.com's Dave Dickens. A couple of Christian High Patriots with us today, Brad Jeremiah and Garrett Nielsen. Hey, Dave, these guys are ranked number 5 in our East County top 5 poll, but I have a feeling that they're on the way up after today's big 9-7 win that elevated them into a tie for first place in the Western League. Tell us about today's game and tell us about these Patriots.
Gary, you want to go ahead and give us a start on that?
Yeah, we played really well today. Our bats were hot. We came out. Jacob Beck with a home run right off the bat for a leadoff home run, and we just got guys on all day. And I was really happy with our hitting performance, and it helped our pitching along. So I was really thankful for that.
Well, Garrett, I would be pretty happy too. You had the big 3-run home run in the second inning. Of course, it was the Saints that we beat today, 9-7. And all these teams in the Western League are really tough, but a good offensive performance. And I think that some of these Western League games against Cathedral, against Saints, against Madison, you guys had a tough schedule this week. Going to be some high scoring, some crazy games. This pennant race is far from over. Brad, maybe you can comment on that as well.
Everyone in our league obviously is very good. We faced Nastrini the other day. He was good. We're facing Dolak on Wednesday, I believe. That's going to be a good one, too. Dolak's a good friend of mine. Really nice guy. Should be fun.
Garrett, about the homer today, looks like Coach Mike Mitchell shaked up the lineup a little bit today. Moved Jacob into the leadoff spot. Is that correct? And you were kind of batting first. Maybe want to get that bat down into the middle of the lineup and take advantage of East County co-leading 4 home runs now this season, tied with Jesse Garcia over there at Grossmont.
I've never batted leadoff in my life, and it's different compared to 3 or 4 where I've always hit in my life, and it's just a different approach a little bit, and I think I'm a little more comfortable in the 3 spot, but I'll do anything for the team. And, it doesn't matter if I'm 1-3 or 9. It's swing a baseball bat.
And not just yourself, but maybe you want to talk about how your brother's come along now too. Being a freshman, I mean, he's smacking the ball around like nobody's business.
Yeah. Trent's doing really well. I'm really proud of him and how far he's come and how fast he's picked it up. That his home run versus Valhalla was great. The walk-off, I was just so happy. And someone got it on video and got to see it over and over again. And I actually went with Trent and went over the fence and got the ball. So I was like, this is going to be a special moment for you, and you remember it for a long time.
Yeah, for both you guys, you got to be awfully proud. You guys played the Valhalla Norseman in that game, won it 10-8. Let's mention it was a walk-off grand slam home run. So you don't do that every day, but you must be so proud. You guys, I know some guys over there at Valhalla, so that must have been a fun game playing for a GMC championship, huh?
Yeah,
for sure.
And then how about you? I know it was a little bit, maybe 2 or 3 weeks old, but how about your grand slam that on the same day that Mike Mitchell had his 500th win?
That was a fun game. We beat them by quite a few. Everyone was hot that day. Everyone's like, we're going to get him his 500th win. We all signed a ball to give to him after the game because we knew that was the day.
Perfect.
Garrett, you're hitting about 390 right now with 4 home runs, and you play your club ball with the show, but you're headed to Cal after this season. Tell us what's going on. You're headed to Berkeley to play baseball and I guess to get an education. You got a GPA well over 4 right now. I mean, what's your priorities up there?
I'm just super blessed that I can go play ball at the next level, especially at Berkeley. It was a real blessing how that happened. I had no expectations of that happening. I actually did a showcase up at UCLA, and I got 1 call from it, and it was Cal. So I guess it was meant to be. Super thankful for the head coach up there, Mike New, and Pat Shine, who recruited me, and Noah Jackson. They're all great guys, and I'm super excited. And
You can't believe you look at the article in the San Diego Union today. I don't know if you had a chance to read it, but all of the San Diego County talent in the Pac-12 this season and obviously in years to come as well. It's going to be something to watch. All these guys, I mean, every day you can go through a Twitter feed and find 2 or 3 East County guys making big hits and big plays in the Pac-12, Dave.
Yeah, and I was just looking at the Division I, the rankings, and obviously you guys played today. I mean, it was the number 15 against the number 14 as far as the Saints was concerned, but since Granite Hills is kind of stagnant right now, I'm pretty hopeful that you guys could probably get up to number 12 after that win, and because of the strength of the schedule, it's possible. I'm not saying it's for sure, but you guys are definitely climbing up the ranks. What are you guys now, 10-8, I believe?
10-8, yeah.
And that makes it so tough, Brad. I mean, basically it comes down to probably first or second place in the Western League is going to qualify for the Open Division, I would think. The champion, obviously. Is that something, obviously we want to win our league, but the Open Division, is that something you guys maybe have your eyes on as well?
For sure.
That was in Division I, right?
Yeah, beginning of the season, coach is like, we're an Open Division team. Our goal this year is to make Open Division again.
And let's talk about that real briefly, if you don't mind. I mean, how is it to play for Coach Mitchell? I mean, and then also his son Brian.
Coach Brian and Mitchell are both very great guys, very nice guys, very relatable.
We need our 3 seniors. We have at the top of our lineup, we go Garrett Nielsen, Jacob Beck, and Brad Jeremiah. The 3 of them have to contribute and drive in runs. If they don't, it's going to be a long year. It's that simple too. There's no surprise to it. We're not sneaking up on anybody. If they get those 3 guys out, we're probably going to lose. Right. Those guys hit the ball, we got a chance.
Yeah.
Could you imagine 500 victories? Now, not all of them have come at Christian, but basically that's going undefeated for like 15 years. I mean, they play 30 games a year. I mean, wow, that's just incredible, those kind of numbers that Coach Mitchell has racked up over there. Brad, everybody is kind of interested in your story. I mean, such a prolific football player and, having great success with this team, baseball as well. In fact, people have come calling. They're interested in your future in baseball on the collegiate level, but not so much with quarterbacking a football team, which you really, in an article I read, you still prefer to try to find somewhere to showcase your football skills at the collegiate level. Tell us where that stands right now and what your gut feel is.
Right now, this is a hard one because my dad asked me this almost twice a week because he doesn't even know. But I mean, I love both of them so much. You can't really compare football and baseball because football is more upbeat, up-tempo, everyone's yelling at your face, and baseball is just more relaxed and chill. I mean, I love them both. I don't know which one I prefer, but I would definitely go to college for one of the 2.
Yeah, well, the Jeremiah quarterbacking tree, everyone talks about that, and let's let any colleges know out there. I mean, and I'm sure that, the chips may still fall, but we'll see. Everyone's going to be real interested to see what happens with Brad.
And Brad, so who were you speaking with currently? Were you supposed to do a visit?
I was going
in baseball, right?
Yeah, baseball. Visit for football in Montana State, which is Division I.
Bobcats.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm talking to Sacramento State right now to go pitch there, which is also good.
Interesting. Those are some excellent choices. There's no doubt about that. Hey, we're going to talk about this pitching staff. I mean, we saw it today. I mean, sometimes you got to go arm and arm and arm, and another batter comes in. You got to get another arm in there. But Luke did start well today, and he ran into a little bit of trouble against a great lineup. But you got guys like Alex Markowitz. Talk about a guy who's really stepped up over the last couple of games. Trace Ramos, yourself. Maybe you can mention a few others. The team ERA 3.73, and given the schedule you guys played, no shame in that.
Our pitching staff. We do not have very much depth, but whoever comes in always comes in, throws strike. Like Trace Ramos, he's one of our closers. He comes in, he just throws strikes and gets outs. Doesn't just, not necessarily strikeouts, just outs. And then Alex is coming up clutch. He's one of our 3 starters that we have as a sophomore. And he's actually swinging the bat decently well too.
Yeah, a couple of those guys also. I mean, you talked about Jacob moving up, and I mean, he's hitting almost 350 as well. So It's going to be some great games in the Western League, and like I said, this pennant race is far from over, and we'll be interested to see how those games shake down. I expect several more games like the one that occurred today out there. A big lead, and anything could happen at the end. There were 2 men on and 2 outs when we got that fly out. I think, Garrett, you called it off, a shot to right center field that had them probably tying the game up if that gets down, right?
Yeah, I said sorry to Alex after that because it was his ball, but I took it. I didn't want to give them any hopes. I just took it myself, and just glad to get the W.
And speaking of that, I was looking back at last season. You finished 22-10 overall and 6-4 in league, and currently, and at that halfway point, you were 15-3. You're 10-8 right now, so you've lost a couple of games more than you did last year. Would you attribute that partly to losing some of the transfers?
Yeah, I mean the transfers, they were definitely going to be a big part of our team. Alonzo Richardson, our shortstop at the time, and then Aaron Polito was going to play outfield or first base. I think those were big parts of our team. But I was glad those guys, found another spot and found Helix. I think the biggest thing was that we lost, our 3 biggest commits, our 3 college commits, Hogeson, Ledgerwood, and then Wesner. So you just have to pick it up. You got to pick up the slack, and you just got to put your head down and work harder.
And then how about Armio? Do we have any word on him? How well is he doing?
He's actually doing better. He got in the game at the end to pinch run.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Sure. Matt Armio was injured in a game where he had a big play to help you guys win, and I believe was he legging out a play, injured himself, or was it a defensive play?
He was right down.
And he suffered an injured ankle, a dislocation or a break. I'm not sure.
The tendon pulled the bone.
So he has returned to the field.
Yes.
Okay, well that's just great news. Great news right there. No doubt about that.
That's huge as far as your defense. I mean, the way he can throw from the outfield, and actually, I believe it was against Mater Dei that he had that acrobatic catch. It looked like it was going to go out, and I mean that was miraculous. So to lose that guy on defense, I'm sure hurt for a while.
I'll touch a little bit on something you were saying, Dave, about the comparisons between this year and last year, and maybe what Coach Mitchell did to try to, you guys don't need any to have confidence instilled in you, but we had a slow start to the season. I mean, a losing streak that put us a little bit behind as far as wins and losses were concerned. I mean, is it something where we need to practice harder, or we just need to perform in clutch situations? Brad, that losing streak, the slow start, what was the quote-unquote mindset?
Those first few games, they were so frustrating because everyone was we were so close. Just losing games by 1. Our first game against Madison, they scored 5 runs in the bottom of the 7th to walk it off. So it's just tough, and we were just so close. We just couldn't make those clutch plays that we needed to make.
The H12 Prep Baseball Report. Visit the H12 Sports Academy off of Old Highway 80 in El Cajon. Get lessons from top local instructors. Use our team workout and cage facility specials, newly renovated, for baseball and softball. Plus, have your performance metrics analyzed using patented technology in HitTrax. That's the H12 Sports Academy off of Old Highway 80 in El Cajon. Call Scott Hoppy Hopgood at 619-328-1412. That's the H12 Sports Academy in El Cajon.
All right, now we're back. We're going to take a look at our East County top 5 for the week. Like we said, these Christian Patriots, they're in 5th, maybe because of the slow start, and now they're just getting over 500. But I mean, you look at the schedule they've played, the expectations now that you guys have set forth. Maybe the Patriots will be moving up, but let's take a look right now because we have a new number 1 atop the East County list, and that's the Grossmont Foothillers. Number 1, Grossmont, they entered the week ranked 8th in the county media poll, but they swept El Capitan, scoring 24 runs over a span of 7 innings over the 2 games. Chris Giovengo had 3 RBI in both of those games. Junior pitcher Jack Hyde won his 4th game of the season already on Thursday, Dave. The Foothillers are our new number 1, passing up Helix.
Yeah, you know, Jordan's always got them prepared. I would say definitely Mr. Hyde. He's definitely the ace of the staff, and that's where they were really focusing on is their pitching. But he said that their hitting's coming around as well, and that he believes that they will definitely be able to compete with Helix now and take over that spot. And that came from Jordan himself.
Okay, well, we've been looking forward to this Grossmont Hills League race. We've touted it, Grossmont, Helix, and Granite Hills. We're going to throw in Santana in there in just a minute, but Garrett, I want to ask you, you know a couple of those Grossmont Foothillers. You played with them in your days in the past?
Yeah, Jace Russell, played Little League with him, great guy. Giovengo, I've played with Dovetail Bats. Jesse Garcia, I've done a little bit with him here and there. He's got great power. I know Tyler Parent. He's good too. Good third baseman. Got a good bat on it. Him. And then as you said, Hyde. I saw Hyde for the first time the other day, and he's impressive. I saw state and USD there for him. So yeah, he's got a future.
Well, Grossmont is going to play Francis Parker on Saturday. Many of you will see this podcast after that game is played. But then next week, the games that we talked about with those Eagles last week, the 2-game set against Granite Hills next week. And remember, the Eagles have been off for nearly 2 weeks coming into the league schedule. These guys couldn't believe it when they heard that. But anyways, that should be a series. Anything of that series, Dave? Grossmont versus Granite Hills, a 2-game set.
You know what? I think it could go really well, or it could go really bad. If they're not rusty, I mean, according to Trevor, they were going to practice every day to keep themselves loose and to prepare for Helix, and they were real interested in playing Helix. And not to take anything away from Helix, but their pitching, sorry Cole, it's been a little suspect, but I think if Granite Hills gets their bats going, and I'm sure they're going to pitch Hazelhurst, and if he gets his bat and he does well on the mound, I think that'll be a pretty tight game.
Well, number 2 in our poll is Helix, and they just barely got that number 2 spot from Dave and I. Given the circumstances this week, they played Santana, and you know what? We're going to call it a 4-team race right now in the Grossmont Hills League. We had Santana a little bit below those top 3, but Santana comes out with a 7-7 tie last week against Helix. The game was called after 9 innings when the sun went down, and then they came back and beat Helix 2-1 on Thursday behind freshman Tyler Glowacki. He threw a complete game, and all of a sudden Santana, they're in the pennant chase right now in the Grossmont Hills League with a 1-0-1 record. Consider them in 2nd place. First, now give me the lowdown on the Sultans. They're not in our top 5, but even though their record is a little bit subpar, they're right on the cusp of the top 5, I would say.
Well, you know, and then that was, I believe, a 3-hitter for the pitcher, and, you know, Rico's been over there, what is it, about 3 years now? He's really turned that team around. Also, T.C. Simmons has been fantastic at the dish. I mean, he's roping them out there. He said to beat a team like Helix with all that talent was something to be proud of, and then to hold the tie as well. But he said they're still a pretty young team. TC is one of those guys, though, that he's mentoring the younger kids. And again, he gave a lot of props to Glowacki.
Well, Santana's on a roll. You've been around, I guess, Garrett. You've been around the block a few times. T.C. Simmons, a friend of yours over there at the Sultans. You know some of those guys too.
Yeah, TC's he's been a great hitter. I mean, he's a lefty. He can hit. If you throw it over the dish, no matter a curveball, fastball, he can hit it. He's played travel ball with Finn and Hazelhurst on the Forest team, and just an all-around good player, just really good and solid guy.
I also want to mention for the Sultans in that 7-7 tie against Helix, Tyler's older brother, I guess we call him now, it's Tyler's older brother. No offense to Brandon, he had a big game of his own in that 7-7 tie. He had 4 hits and 4 runs scored. So he definitely is playing well as many of the Sultans trying to pick up that record a little bit. The Sultans, remember last season, they swept Granite Hills to open the season, kind of started the same way and then finished poorly, if you will. So they're going to try to keep it going this week. They're going to play El Capitan in a 2-game set to try to solidify that second place standing. Helix, meanwhile, plays a pair of non-league games next week. They're the team with the league bye this week, and they're going to play La Jolla Country Day and Cathedral. Ironically enough, there's kind of a rivalry there, Helix and Cathedral, over the years, and you guys see plenty of Cathedral, obviously. Also, want to mention Santana playing El Cap. Just get El Cap in here. They're led by Hunter Markle, who had 5 hits and 4 RBI in that series against the Grossmont Foothillers. Also, Garrett, you know Blake Payton over there with the Vaqueros. Tell me about Blake.
Yes, sir, I do. Blake's a great pitcher. I mean, he's 91 from the left side. He's going to Arizona, so I mean, he's just amazing. I saw him in the summertime playing with him on the show. He had such movement on his ball. He would shut down like a team like the Eagle Shield Canes. I mean, just like all-American guys. Like, he's a legit dude, and he's impressive.
Yeah, the Helix guys last week commented he's a wipeout slider, and that certainly caught my attention.
Yeah.
Dave, anything on that series next week, Santana and El Cap? Hey, I'd like to see El Cap. Santana's off to a great start, but El Cap, they need to make some noise too.
Well, that's the whole thing, is El Cap needs to kind of dig itself out of a hole. I mean, taking that beating twice from Grossmont, I mean, that's something that they got to climb out of that hole, and I think that it would be a good move, and I think that they actually will compete. Hopefully they do put Peyton on the hill against the Sultans, which I would think that they would do, and get themselves out of the rut. They need to do that real quick, though, before they start heading down. I mean, it's league time, and you don't want to lose 2 or 3 games at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, like Garrett alluded to, anytime Peyton's on the hill, gives them a big chance to win.
Absolutely.
The H12 Prep Baseball Report. Visit the H12 Sports Academy off of Old Highway 80 in El Cajon. Get lessons from top local instructors. Use our team workout and cage facility specials, newly renovated, for baseball and softball. Plus, have your performance metrics analyzed using patented technology in HitTrax. That's the H12 Sports Academy off of Old Highway 80 in El Cajon. Call Scott Hoppy Hopgood at 619-328-1412. That's the H12 Sports Academy in El Cajon.
All right, moving over to the Grossmont Valley League now. And number 3 in our poll, I had him 4th, you had him 3rd, and that was enough to move these guys up to number 3. I'd say they're our surprise team of the East County currently, the Monta Vista Monarchs. They're on a 4-game winning streak, and they were set to host a 4-game homestand this week after beating Mount Miguel 4-1 in the league opener on Tuesday. A game that featured, you told me about this, Dave, first cousins Ivan Plazola of the Monarchs and Nico Camacho of the Matadors squaring off on the mound, and both guys pitched very well, about 4 or 5 innings each in a low-scoring contest. The Monarchs just looking terrific right now with that winning streak, and you have them ranked right in the middle of our poll, number 3. Tell me about Monta Vista.
Well, let's not forget that they also won the GMC championship for their division, so I mean, that was saying a lot as well. Craig New, Matt Atkinson, he left, but Craig New came up from JV, the JV coaching job, and he's done a tremendous job in the last 2 years. A couple of names, like you mentioned before, Ivan Plazola. I mean, he threw 4 shutout innings against Mount McGill. He went 1 for 4 with a double and 2 runs scored. Diego Sandoval in that same game went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. And Andy Canedo, he's a freshman, but he's been very good offensively. And he also got his first save of the year on the mound. And let's not forget two great games that junior Derek Wiley has had. He's come alive and come out of nowhere. He went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a double. So they're really starting to hit the ball, but they're pitching quite well too. So they got a couple of pitchers, not huge names yet, but it looks like they got a team going that they're going to be able to take on a lot of the bigger teams in the league.
Sure. Garrett, you've encountered Andy Canedo, a younger player, but you've seen him before.
Yeah, I'm practiced with Andy with my brother's travel team, and he can hit a little bit, and he's got a glove too, so he's also got a bright future. I'm impressed with him.
Well, right now I'd say the Monarchs have thrusted themselves into the favorite role in the Grossmont Valley League. And I want to mention, Dave, the big news that just broke about a day and a half ago, maybe within the last 36 hours, that the Monarchs are going to meet the El Cajon Valley Braves next Thursday at 7 p.m. at Petco Park. Both teams have recently played games at Petco Park, but they're going back to the big ballpark, the Braves and the Monarchs. You're going to go down there, free admission. Maybe we'll all meet down there and have a great time. Tell me about that game. It's going to be awesome. Coach New, Coach Thomas, Braves and the Monarchs at Petco Park.
Well, you know, the funny thing is the first person to invite me was one of the Braves players, Jesus.
Jesus Favola.
Yeah. Favola, he texted me 2 or 3 times and he said, I hope that you're going to come down to Petco Park and give us some coverage. You guys have done well so far, but this is a big deal for us. And along with Monte Vista, Craig New also called me up and he said, I know you're going to be there, Mr. Dickens. So goes without being said, I have to be there now, but I want to be there as well. Matter of fact, I did 2 years myself at El Cajon Valley, so there's still a little love in there. Like I said, and I did a year at West Hills and a year at Granite, but there's some love for the Braves in there too. But I think when they square off, I think it's actually going to be a competitive game. I mean, they got some star players on both sides, and if they put the right people together, the right people on the mound, the right people at the dish, and right batting order, I think they're going to take care of business, square off, and maybe we'll get a 5-4 ball game, but at least it'll be entertaining.
That's so interesting that Jesus contacted you. It sounds like he's really fired up for this game. Listen to this, guys. I've mentioned that they both have played at Petco. They both played their separate games in 2016. The Braves played Lincoln, who's actually developing into a little bit of a rival with them in Division 5. You remember they played the exciting game last week that Lincoln beat the Braves. But Jesus Favola played in that game as a sophomore, and they lost the game that they played to Lincoln at Petco Park, and Favola, he got the loss in that game. So I'm thinking he's going to want the ball this time. I don't know how Coach Thomas is going to approach that game, but I'm thinking Jesus is going to want the ball when they take the field over there at Petco Park. Also, I want to mention that the Monarchs, who played at Petco Park 2 years ago, you mentioned Diego Sandoval. He also played in that game that the Monarchs played. They played West Hills in an incredible game. Can you imagine going to Petco Park? The final score was 2-0 in 11 innings. And so they actually told the teams they were going to shut it down, and if nobody scored after 11 innings, they were going home with a scoreless tie. So West Hills got a couple of runs and won the game with 2 runs in the top of the 11th inning.
Well, let's speak on that. Actually, something interesting that happened when West Hills squared off earlier this week against El Cajon Valley. The end result was 6-5. West Hills won that game. However, Mickey Deutschman, head coach of West Hills, went over to the bench, the Braves bench, and actually had a speech for the Braves and said how well and how impressed he was with their play. He even indicated they should have won the ball game. So for the opposite coach to go over there and just congratulate them on a well-played ball game, that's really saying something about his character and the character of the Braves.
Absolutely, and we didn't touch on it too much in our article. I just want to add that Braves coach Clifton Thomas has had his ejection from that game overturned. The game ended prematurely after 5 innings. The Braves had a one-man coaching staff that day. Coach Thomas was ejected for arguing balls and strikes. It's cut and dried. He was ejected from the game, and the Braves, you got to have a coach on the list. You just can't, pick out someone from the stands to come down and coach. And so he's been had that ejection rescinded. And that's probably the best move for them because they only have 2 coaches on staff. So that's good. And that's a good sign for next week's game as well.
Yeah, and then Deutschman he also touched on that as well. He said, really, he kind of had an argument. I mean, it was legitimate because those umpires were lackluster, if you will, as far as the calls. So if the opposite coach is saying the same thing, I would definitely rescind what happened to Coach Cliff.
Well, I think we can all think that Coach Thomas is doing a great job. I mean,
Absolutely.
The Braves have definitely had 4 wins already and looking good. So and everybody's looking forward to that game so much. The Monarchs are going to host West Hills in a doubleheader on Saturday in a twin bill that's going to feature some outstanding pitching. Both West Hills and Monte Vista base their success on those pitching staffs. Monte Vista will also host Mount Miguel on Tuesday before heading downtown for that game. Anything on that series, Monarchs and West Hills, a doubleheader on Saturday, and then Monarchs next week?
Well, it's been really tough to gauge West Hills this year. They've been up and down from every aspect. I mean, Mickey always does a good job, but as far as it looks, I think Monte Vista should take care of business, but with any league game, you never know. I mean, it's any given, but I would look for the Monarchs to take care of West Hills by a couple.
Fair enough, and you mentioned that GMC Tournament Championship game win that the Monte Vista Monarchs had, 5-4 over Monterey in 8 innings, and you mentioned Derek Wiley, he had that big 2-run double in that game, and he also drove into the other 2 runs against Mount Miguel, so Wiley's looking hot. Steel Canyon won its league opener 3-2 over Valhalla behind Trevor Back's 4th complete game of the season. Talk about durable arms, guys. Then they beat the Braves on Friday in a shutout as newcomer Jack Schlottman allowed 1 hit and struck out 9 in 6 innings. Looks like we're going to have to do some research on Jack. He might be a force to be reckoned with come league play.
Long, lengthy kid. Looks like he's grown a little bit. I haven't seen him in a while, but yeah, he's kind of got a quirky windup, but it comes out of his hand and it's a little funky to read. And it can definitely fool hitters. Me and my brother play with him, and hopefully he keeps progressing and see what happens with him.
Dave, did you have some quotes from Jack today, or should we read about those?
He actually did. I asked him about his thoughts on the game today. He first and foremost wanted to shout out to one of his teammates, Danny Yanez, which actually practices here at H12 Sports Academy quite often. He wanted to shout out for him for a couple of good stops at third base. Also, he wanted to name Luke Arias for great pitch calling behind the plate, his catcher, and then Cameron Ewart getting some innings, threw many guys out trying to steal on him. So offensively, he also wanted to touch on that his teammates crushed the ball. I mean, obviously we saw how many runs they had against the Braves. Given him a lot of confidence when he was out on the mound. As he explained to me, this has been his first real outing this year, and he would say he started off pretty well. This would definitely give them a boost in league play. They're 2-0 now, so.
Yeah, I'll say now, things are really shaping up there. I just have a couple more shout-outs on the West Hills Wolfpack. Devin Bevilacqua drove in 3 runs. Steve Christini scored 3 times in that win last against the Braves. Also, Valhalla and Mount Miguel are in a doubleheader on Saturday. Both teams are going to try to snap 3-game losing streaks. Valhalla and Mount Miguel doubleheader.
Yeah, that game could go either way. I mean, realistically, the thing with Mount Miguel is, I don't know what it is, but it's just some kind of punishment. They've been losing, every game that they lose has been by a point, 1 point, or losing the game late in the later innings. So I'm looking for Mount Miguel, Frank Coit, to turn that around. couple of guys that did real well, a couple of seniors that should step up, but nobody's really stood out so far. But I definitely look for Mount Miguel to turn it around. Any thoughts that you have on the other side of it?
Well, I think that that's going to be a tightly contested doubleheader tomorrow for sure. And I think the Valley League, even though we talked about the strength of Monte Vista right now, I think that Steel Canyon still thinks in the back of their mind that they're the favorite. So I think that whoever wins that league is not going to do it with an undefeated record, that's for sure. Okay, let's move over quickly to Foothills Christian. They're going to be back starting league play this week, but first we're going to have a non-league doubleheader on Saturday with High Tech San Diego. Bishop's junior Graham Cartwright no-hit the Knights this past week. The Knights were the undefeated champs of the Ocean League last year. They have a tough home-and-home set to open their new league. They're in the Pacific League this year, and they're going to play co-defending champ Classical Academy when they make their debut in the Pacific League. Foothills Christian, that's going to be a tough league for them. They've had some easier times the last couple of years in their Ocean League, but the Pacific League is a little more stacked this year.
Yeah, well, they did get a couple of their transfers in now, though, Stollard being one of them, and he's been real effective for them. And then, of course, our guest that we had on there, Mr. Seaweed Brown, he's done pretty well. Dave Lewis has said the biggest thing is he was having to plug holes with mostly freshmen. So now that he's getting some of his seniors, which are also the transfers, he's seen a lot more hits, he's seen a lot more run production, and Stollard's also one of the pitchers that he's going to put in the start of the rotation. So look for Foothills to definitely at league time to win quite a few ball games, and that's according to Dave Lewis.
The H12 Prep Baseball Report. Visit the H12 Sports Academy off of Old Highway 80 in El Cajon. Get lessons from top local instructors. Use our team workout and cage facility specials, newly renovated, for baseball and softball. Plus, have your performance metrics analyzed using patented technology in HitTrax. That's the H12 Sports Academy off of Old Highway 80 in El Cajon. Call Scott Hoppy Hopgood at 619-328-1412. That's the H12 Sports Academy in El Cajon.
Well, Dave, back here at the H12 Sports Academy off of Old Highway 80 in El Cajon, our main sponsor, call Hoppy Hopgood. Come on down and grab some lessons with some fine instructors and use their facilities and use the HitTrax challenge that we're going to do. HitTrax, you hit the ball off the tee, and it's kind of like the old golfing where it shows you where your ball goes, and they have it for baseball now. It gives you exit velocity, launch angle, all the things that we kind of study now in baseball that probably don't mean anything, but it sure looks cool when you hit it on that screen. And yeah, it really does, though. Everyone's trying to get that perfect launch angle going. Time to thank our sponsors as well. And I'm going to start this week with Niccolosi's Italian Restaurant. They've been a sponsor of the East County Athlete of the Week this year. And Garrett, you know our East County Athlete of the Week this week for some reason. What's going on there?
Yeah, it's Trent Nielsen, my baby brother. So really happy for him, super proud of him. Hope he can keep up the good work, and hopefully he can teach me a little something.
Well, he's had a pretty good couple of games. You had an excellent week too, but Trent really got it for that grand slam against Valhalla. That everyone went crazy. You see it right there. We showed it earlier in the telecast. We all saw that video that came out. But anyways, thanks to all of our sponsors: H12 Sports Academy out here in El Cajon, Alice Sports Shop, Retro Sports as well. Like us, share us, retweet us. Dave, any comments on this week's show?
I just think it's great to have Garrett and Brad come out from Christian. Not ever partial to any school, but they've been having a great year, and we really appreciate you taking your time on a Friday night, because you could be doing a lot of other things, but we appreciate your time.
No, thank you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, came out right after that game, and I was crossing my fingers there at the end. Please hang on to this game. I don't want to be dealing with a couple of angry Patriots starting with a second loss in league, but we're 2-1, and we're looking good right now. So for Dave, for Brad, for Garrett, I'm Ramon Scott. Thanks for joining us on the H12 Prep Baseball Report.
The H12 Prep Baseball Report.